हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, यूट्यूब चैनल सोशो क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है। आज हम इस वीडियो में बीए सिक्स्थ सेमेस्टर इंग्लिश कंपलसरी के मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस डिस्कस करने जा रहे हैं, जो बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स डिमांड कर रहे थे। इसके अलावा बाकी सारे सब्जेक्ट्स के मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस पंजाबी और इंग्लिश मीडियम में डाले जा रहे हैं। सिलेबस भी यहीं पे आप देख सकते हो। सोशियोलॉजी पंजाबी कंपलसरी के कुछ लेक्चर्स के वीडियो भी यहीं पे मिल जाएंगे, वहाँ से अपने पेपर की तैयारी कर सकते हो। ये क्वेश्चंस इस तरह से हैं। सेक्शन ए, फर्स्ट, एक्सप्लेन एनी वन ऑफ द फॉलोइंग टू स्टैंजर्स विद रेफरेंस टू द कॉन्टेक्स्ट, 5 मार्क्स। We paused before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the currents in the ground. And next, bouncers and bumpers and beamers have whizzed round my ribs and my head. I have faced the fast men and seamers who flourish on balls shining red. This fast bowling is really a menace. I have been hit on elbow and wrist. I wish that I had taken up tennis or swimming or snooker or whist. The ball has been swerving and swinging and frequently beating my bat, the bowler's voice in my ears ringing with strident appeals of "How is that?" And next, since then 'tis centuries and yet feels shorter than the day I first summarized the horses' heads were toward eternity. And next, they wonder what they had ever seen in that ridiculous machine, that nauseating, full, unclean, repulsive television screen, and later each and every kid will love you more for what you did. And then, but now my long whistle is ending, the spinners are up to their tricks, and any loose balls I am intending dispatching for 4 or 6. This off spinning ball I am sweeping away it balloons into space. Square leg has the ball in safekeeping. I had much rather bet against peace. And then, where towards eternity it rots the sense in the head, it kills imagination dead, it clogs and clutters up the mind. It makes a child so dull and blind he can no longer understand a fantasy, a fair land. His brain becomes as soft as cheese, his power of thinking rust and freeze. He cannot think, he only sees. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just oversells an immortality. And next, oh books, what books they used to know, though children living long ago. Oh please, we beg to pray, go through your TV sets again, and in its place you can install a lovely bookshelf on the wall. Then fill the shelves with lots of books, ignoring all the dirty looks, the screams and yells, the bites and kicks, and children hitting you with sticks. And next is, this off spinning ball I am sweeping away if balloons into space. Square leg has the ball in safekeeping. I had much rather bet against peace. And then we paused before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the currents in the ground. Since then 'tis centuries, and yet each feels shorter than the day I first summarized the horses' heads were toward eternity. And next, answer any 5 of the following 8 questions in about 60 to 8 words each. Give an account of the initial days of missionaries of charity. And next, what are the challenges of filmmaking in India as discussed in Odds Against Us? And then discuss personification with reference to the poem Because I Could Not Stop for Death. And then, why did Rajan watch the game with the blackest heart and crushed hardly everybody concerned in the story Swami and Friends? And then discuss the experience of facing different balls described in the poems of The Shine. And then, why does the writer say that boxing is the worst game that generates much ill will in the sporting spirit? What, according to the writer, will make society healthier in political and economic terms in building and internet culture. And then how will reading books change the children as given in the poem Television? And next, how does Annie correlate the suffering of the Jews with her personal experiences? What are the vows to be taken by the sisters of the missionaries of charity? And then what knowledge did Swami have about the car Rolls Royce, and what does it reveal about him? And then why does the speaker prefer to bet against pace rather than spin? And next, why does the writer think that sports played at international level can only be a mimic warfare? And then what does the writer illustrate through the example of photocopier company? And next, what according to Ray are the constraints a director is likely to encounter in making films in a country like ours? And what are some of the things that children would do if they did not watch television all the time? And then when Mipe sends the current cake, why does Annie think she is ridiculing them? And then what is the daily routine of the sisters of the missionaries of charity? How does Raja describe the junior Willard bats? And next, how does the speaker describe the experience of facing different kinds of balls in sea of the shine? And next, what according to the writer are the two most important criteria the director must keep in mind while finding a story? And next, how does the poet describe children watching television? And then what does the writer illustrate through the example of photocopier company? And next, what makes the writer come to the conclusion that serious sport has nothing to do with fair play? And then describe how the Frank family move out of their house. And then where does the carriage ride lead the poet? And then describe the service rendered by Mother Teresa and her organization to different sections of society. And next, why does the speaker prefer to bet against pace rather than spin? And next, why does the writer regard boxing as the worst game that generates much ill will? And next, how according to Philip Agri can the internet be employed to bring about the social transformation? And next, what according to Ray are the constraints a director is likely to encounter in making films in a country like ours? How does the speaker regard the other players in the field? And discuss how Annie present her conflict of wishing to live and die in the same time. What is the significance of the word paused in the line we paused before a house that seemed? And next, describe the service rendered to the unwanted children and leprosy patients by Mother Teresa's order of missionaries. And why is the speaker's long week ending? And next, how does the writer relate supporting spirit to nationalism? And next, in what kind of context can the internet fail? And next, how is filmmaking in India different from filmmaking in Hollywood? And next, according to the poet, what kind of stories will the children read once the television is plugged? And then where does the carriage ride lead the poet in the poem because I could not stop for death? And then why is the speaker's long vigil ending with the poem Sea of the Shine? Why do parents hesitate to take away the television sets in the poem Television? Why does the Annie's family decide to go into hiding? And what are the oaths to be taken by the sisters of the missionaries of the charity? How did YMU perform in their match against MCC? Why does the writer in the sporting spirit consider that sports played at international level can only be a mimic warfare? And in what kind of context and can the internet fail as described in building an internet culture? And what does the poet mean by saying he kindly stopped for me in the poem because I could not stop for death? How does the speaker bring out the dangers of playing cricket in the poem Sea of the Shine? How does the poet describe children watching television in the poem Television? Describe how the Frank family move out of their house. How does the writer describe Calcutta in Mother Teresa? What are the different names the boys consider for their team in Swami and Friends? What makes the writer come to the conclusion that serious sport has nothing to do with fair play? What are the writer's suggestions for building the internet civil society? What knowledge did Swami have about the car Rolls Royce and what does it reveal about him? How does any experience at the secret annex represent the predicament of Jews? And why does the speaker prefer fast bowlers to spinners? Describe the daily routine of the Sisters of Missionaries of Charity. What does the poet do when she rides away slowly with death? How does overall argue that the visit of the Dynamo football team created fresh animosity on both sides? Third question is answer any two of the following four questions in about 150 to 180 words each. Marks 10. A diary of a young girl is a testimony to a positive and persistent fighting spirit. Elaborate and then discuss Swami and Friends as a portrayal of the innocence and zeal of youngsters and examine the attitude of the poet towards death in the poem Because I Could Not Stop for Death. What are the writer's suggestions for building the internet civil society in building an internet culture? And next, Annie's diary helped her survive through her experience in hiding. Elaborate. Why were the critics against Mother Teresa and how did she overcome the hostility? Writing about cricket, Orwell say that it is a yearly game. Do you agree? On the basis of the poem, television explained the saying, reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. Do you think F.G. Herod has been able to portray effectively Mother Teresa's dedication towards the poor? Give reasons for your answer. How far do you subscribe to the views of Orwell on the sporting spirit? Justify your standpoint. And then, do you agree with the poet that watching television deadens all creativity and ability to think? And comment on the title Sea of the Shine. And next, justify the title of the poem Sea of the Sunshine. Do you think it reflects the theme of the poem? Do you agree with the poet that watching television deadens all creativity and ability to think? And give a detailed account of the establishment and development of the missionaries of charity. And next, mention the guidelines the writer offers to evolve a culturally appropriate internet policy. And then, do you agree with the poet that watching television deadens all creativity and ability to think? And next, do you think that George Orwell is rational and logical in his argument against the sporting spirit? And then justify the title of the poem Sea of the Sunshine. And next, do you think it reflects the theme of the poem? Why doesn't the speaker wish to face spinners in the poem Sea of the Shine? And next, how does Annie portray the sufferings of the Jewish community through an elaboration of her personal experiences while in hiding? How does the writer relate a supporting spirit to nationalism? And then, how does the poet personify death in Because I Could Not Stop for Death? Why were the critics against Mother Teresa and how did she overcome the hostility? And next, how did Swaminathan and others arrive at a name to be given to their team? Describe the significant steps involved in making a film. What, according to Ray, are the constraints a director is likely to encounter in making films in a country like us? Give a description of the television as contained in the poem Why Do Parents Hesitate to Take Away the Television Sets? Why were the critics against Mother Teresa and how did she overcome his hostility? And section B is write a preface of the following passage and give a suitable title, 10 marks. And fifth question is I use any 10 idioms and phrases out of the given 15 in sentence of your own. 5 marks. A dime a dozen, apple of my eye, over the top, under the weather, you are what you eat, tie the knot in the heat of the moment, every cloud has a silver lining, curiosity killed the cat, chip on his shoulder, a taste of your own medicine, a blessing in disguise, devil's advocate, drive someone up the wall, give him the slip at his heel, apron strings, to bury the hatchet a bit of one's mind to nip in the bud, a cock and bull story, cast pearls before swine, to die in harness, died in the wool, elbow room, to fall flat, flog a dead horse, to grid up one's loins, to harp in the same string, to eat humble pie, all the sundry, a bone of contention, chip of the same block, to do away with, to fan the flame, to grid up one's line, to keep at bay, laughing stock, to mind one's and quiz, nail in the coffin on tenter books, hooks, pinelope is web, a rolling stone, upset the apple cart, to wet blanket, to miss the boat, to make a mountain of a molehill, to make a clean sweep of 9 days' wonder, leaves and fishes, clean task, to give the will his due, to fish in the troubled water, to cut the knot birds of feather, to beard the loin in the den, animal spirit, apple pie order at a pinch, backstairs influence, a wolf in a sheep's clothing, a gala day, a snake in the grass, helter skelter, fair and square, crocodile tears on tenter hooks, live wire, pull through, be all and end all, red trapezium, creature comforts, to miss the boat, a big gun at a snail's pace, break down, fall short, long for a cold-blooded murder. At one's own will, apple of one's eye, at arm's length, at stake, beat the air, be in a good books, be all means, dash to the ground, a fish out of water, a fool's paradise, hang about, go through, make out, above all, in high spirit, over and above all the sundry animal spirits, a bolt from the blue, birds of a feather, by fit and stars, catch red-handed, feel at home, a fool's paradise, and heady. Hard nut to crack, a red letter day, to bury the hen, pecked husband, flog a dead horse, fall flat, a wide pie, fall short, beat about the bush, at arm's length, at his heel, Herculean task, at loggerheads, helter skelter. Fifth B part. Give one word substitutes for any 10 of the following out of 15. 5 marks. Practicing only one marriage, writing one's own life story, expressive in the use of words, one who does not believe in God, government by elected representatives, one who hates mankind, study of plants, a partner in crime, partial or total loss of memory, a word that expresses opposite meaning, animal or plants that live in water, study of celestial objects, a place of burial of the dead, having no beginning or end to its existence, a poem of lamentation, object having life, a list of names of books, the art of beautiful writing, government by the officials, a medicine that produces the desired effect, one who can be easily deceived, never trying or giving up, a well-paying job, the midday show of cinema, a bird of passage suffering from lack of sleep, too much official formality, a person's last piece of work, a person risen from a low position, a student who misses classes, a last list of books in a library, soldier who fight on horseback, an instrument for measuring the speed of a motor car, that which cannot be corrected, fit to be eaten, inscription on tomb, a cure for all diseases, a scared book of religion, a number of people listening together, a place where two rivers meet, one who takes care of the building, one who walks in the sleep, the art of effective speaking, to go from bad to worse, pertaining to cooking or kitchen, a place where birds are kept, a place for the collection of dried plants, a woman with light colored hair, one who makes display of his learning, one who talks in his sleep, one who steals books, one sent out on a mission, a person who is too stubborn to admit his errors, a person who is well experienced, government by a few, a bundle of hay, a number of the fishes taken in a net, ones who go from place to place, mending pots and pans, etc., confinement to one place to avoid spread of infection, that which is according of law, that which can be believed, and a man whose wife is dead, and one who looks at the bright side of things, a printed notice about someone's death, one who comes as a settler into a foreign country, something that can be erased government by the representatives of the people belonging to all parts of the world, college or university officials in charge of finance, animal with 2 feet, a word opposite in meaning, a list of the names of books, work for which no salary is paid, incapable of being alerted, the absence of government in a country, an assembly of listeners not caring for the suffering of others, art of designing and specifying the steps of dance, a period of 10 years, one who cannot speak, signature of someone else's name without his permission, not being able to make a mistake, incapable of being divided to copy someone, being present everywhere, murder of one's sister, dead body, an animal with 2 feet, incapable of being alerted, the art of handwriting, a person who speaks multiple languages, a hater of humanity, the act of running away with the partner for marriage, government by one person, one who looks at the dark side of things, speech by one person in a play with the sad ending. स्टूडेंट्स, ये थे इंग्लिश कंपल्सरी के मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस। इनकी तैयारी अच्छे से कर लेना। इसमें से भी क्वेश्चन पूछे जा सकते हैं और इसके अलावा भी क्वेश्चन आपको आ सकते हैं, क्योंकि बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस जो हैं वो ये तैयार किए गए हैं। ये पिछले कई सालों के पेपर, प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन पेपर्स लेके वहाँ से ये सारे तैयार किए गए हैं और इसी में से आपको पता चल जाएगा कि किस तरह से क्वेश्चन जो पूछे जाएंगे और कुछ मिलते जुलते इसमें से हो सकते हैं, कुछ मोल्ड करके भी डाले जा सकते हैं। और आगे कोई और वीडियो आप देखना चाहते हो जो आपको हेल्पफुल हो सके तो मैसेज करना। थैंक यू सो मच। मिलते हैं हम अपने अगले वीडियो में।